Now, from the other side of the aisle, let's bring in California Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia. Congressman, thank you for being here. You heard what your colleague, Beth Van Duyne, had to say there. But let's start in our conversation here because so many Democrats are criticizing what happened between President Zelenskyy and President Trump and Vice President Vance yesterday. I want to just go right to your reaction to what happened and what it all means.
Well, first, it was, in my opinion, just a very shameful display for all that to happen in the Oval Office, in front of the world and all of our allies who we need to stop Russia. And I think what honestly is most disgraceful is that throughout that conversation, that the president could not be clear that Putin is a danger to Europe, to Ukraine, and to the United States. Putin is an authoritarian dictator, and we need to call it like it is. And to embarrass Zelenskyy, who is taking Putin on right now, to belittle him, an ally, and our efforts in Ukraine.
Let me just,
I think it's a mistake.
For being, fair here, you're saying it was shameful and that Zelenskyy was the one that was attacked. But let's be honest, we all know when you're in that Oval Office setting, and this is a deal that's already done, this is the finish line in a photo op. President Zelenskyy, who I've interviewed twice, once in Kyiv months after the war began, once last summer, right after he was very savvy diplomatically coming off the heels of the UN General Assembly. And then yesterday, he allowed himself to be drawn into a fight and then was, using the vice president's first name, JD, pushing back. And I understand what he was saying, but wasn't this perhaps an opportunity that Zelenskyy's advisor should have told him, look, don't pick this fight, and this is a very important moment, just get the deal done?
Look, it's very clear that the vice president and the president were teaming up to take on Zelenskyy in front of the world press. And let's be really clear. Putin is murdering brutally Zelenskyy's own people. And so he, of course, is going to stand up for his country and his people. And Zelenskyy did come to the White House to try to put together a deal with the president. But to do all of that and to belittle him and Ukraine and our country, and most importantly, to not call out Putin, who's an authoritarian dictator and an enemy of the United States, is what I think is the most shameful that happened in that display. It was a terrible move for the United States.
President Trump said yesterday, as he pointed out in that meeting, which was going well for 30 or so minutes before it fell apart at the end, that he wants to be more neutral, to try and change what has become a 3-year stalemate. President Biden's administration did little to any that I'm aware of in terms of trying to bring Putin in for a ceasefire. So that was the argument being made there about not calling out Putin, as President Trump laid out. At the end of the day, Congressman, tell me,
neutral with Vladimir Putin?
Not neutral. President Trump simply said that if he just starts to badmouth him, that he would not be able to bring him into a ceasefire deal. At the end of the day, what matters, Congressman, is what happens next. Can this deal be salvaged? Can this relationship be repaired? And how important is that from your perspective?
I mean, I think it's very important, and I hope so. I mean, look, I think that at this very moment, this is a very dangerous time, not just for Ukraine, but for all of Europe. And I think that Putin is very clear that it is beyond just Ukraine. He wants to reestablish and grow his territory and power. And so us being able to work out some type of agreement with Ukraine, the support of Zelenskyy, the support of the Ukrainian people, I support. And I think most Democrats, Republicans, everyone across this country wants there, of course, for this war to end. But we also want to make sure that Ukraine maintains its sovereignty and that we do not just allow Putin to roll over and get what he wants. And so that's what we're all hopeful for. And that, I believe, is something that's bipartisan. Both Republicans and Democrats want.
Congressman, just almost out of time, but quickly on Doge. You heard that conversation with Beth Van Duyne, and I want to get your input. So Doge is cutting this waste, and I know that you, based on other interviews you've done, are very critical of Musk, critical of Doge, but do Democrats support cutting some of the obvious identified waste in some of these agencies?
Of course. I mean, look at the Department of Defense is like the largest part of the federal budget. They can't even pass an audit, yet they're cutting departments that are actually delivering to real people. Why are we cutting 400 to 500 FAA safety inspectors and workers that are in charge of keeping our airlines and our airspace safe? We are actually right now in a crisis as it relates to the FAA, and Elon Musk is out there just cutting away without any rhyme or reason. There is no major CEO in America that would be cutting the way Elon Musk is cutting our federal agencies. So let's be really clear about that. Yes, there's always going to be waste in government. Yes, we're always going to be able to be more efficient. But throwing people off their jobs have been working hard all across this country, 80% of which, by the way, of the federal workforce work outside of Washington, D.C. How we're treating them is horrific, and we're losing real programs that are going to impact healthcare, education, and air safety. So this has got to stop, and better evaluation has got to happen.